Translation is a kind of activity involves at least two languages and two cultures. Transfer source language to target language. Cultural is a way of life that involves actions, habits, and word or expression. Language is an important part of culture as a means of expressing or communicating. There are some cultures in one language. There will be problems if there is overlap between source language and target language. Translation plays a major role when it comes to understanding the culture or translating any document in the respective culture. Culture and translation are related to each other and help bridge the gaps that different languages might create. So that's why translators need to understand knowledge of source language and target language culture, which is very important in the translation process. As a translator, we have to consider culture so that the translation can be accepted and there is no misunderstanding. For example, Salat, maybe in Arabic, it can be accepted Salat is the obligation of worship in 5 times a day. But there is no vocabulary of Salat in English, so we can change prayer. There are some types of cultural categories. First, ecology, such as flora, fauna, plains, hills. Second, material culture or artifact include food, clothes, houses, or town, transportation. Next, social culture like work and leisure. And then organizations, activities, procedures, concepts like political and administrative, religious, and artistic. And the last, gesture and habit. General considerations in translation of culture, there are two methods, namely transference and componential analysis. Transference method lies in the technique of saving all the local color, keeping cultural names and concepts, whereas a componential analysis is the most accurate translation procedure which excludes the culture and highlight the message. The consideration must be the recognition of the culture referred to in the source language text, respecting foreign countries and their cultures.
Hello everyone, my name is Binti Isnatun Hamidah. Here I will explain about ecology and material culture. Ecology. Ecology means the ecological culture in a given area, which includes the natural environment, geographic condition, climate, and so on. Because of the different ecological cultures, even the same words may have different connotation in different regions. Geographical features can be normally distinguished from other cultural terms in that they are usually value-free, politically and commercially. Nevertheless, their diffusion depends on the importance of their country of origin as well as their degree of specificity. Thus, Plato is not perceived as a cultural word and has long been adopted in Russian, German, and English, but translated in Spanish and usually Italian. Many countries have local words for plains, prairies, steppes, tundras, pampas, savannas, llanas, campas, paramos, pastos, all with strong elements of local color. Their familiarity is a function of the important and geographical or political proximity of their countries. Material culture. Material culture refers to the material product human beings create on the corresponding culture, which includes food, clothes, architecture, and etc. Food is for many the most sensitive and important expression of national culture. Food terms are subject to the wide variety of translation procedures. Various setting, menu strike, multilingual, closed cookbooks, food guides, tourist brochures, journalism increasingly contains foreign food terms. Currently, it is trying that the generic word has flavor enter aromats although particularly as all three are ambiguous. Salad, mixture, or starter first or main course, like course between two heavy courses or dessert. That's all for me. Thank you for your nice attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Social cultura. Social culture is a life culture in the country that different in other countries in a work and leisure because social culture is the activity that the people doing. We can also understand about culture in the other countries like work in Indonesia. There are many people, usually as a farmer and fisherman, but in other countries different work because the different climate and ecology. Every country has the unique ones for the leisure, like a petak umpet in Indonesia and yutnori in Korea. Therefore, different culture and leisure.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Amirul Fatah. In this video, I would like to explain about social organizations, political and administrative in translation and culture. The political and social life of a country is reflected in its institutional terms, where the title of a head of state or the name of parliament are transparent, that is, made up of international or easily translate morphemes. They are to translate where the name of parliament is not readily translatable or hard to translate. Okay. So it has recognized official translations for administrative documents. Name of ministries are usually literally translated, provided they are appropriately descriptive. When a public body has a transparent name, the translations depends on the setting. In official documents and in serious publications such as textbooks, the title is transferred and where appropriate literally translate. Informally, it could be translated by a cultural equivalent. Next, how does if a public body or organizations have an opaque name? Okay. First, the translator has first to establish whether there is recognized translations. Second, whether it will be understood by the readership and is appropriate in the setting. If not, in a formal informative text, the name should be transferred and functional, culture-free equivalent given. Such an equivalent may have to extend over a word group. In some cases, a cultural equivalent may be adequate, but in a doubtful case, the functional equivalent is preferable. A literal translation or neologism must be avoided in the informative if the informative text is informal or colloquial. It may not be necessary to transfer the organization's name. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Gestures and habit. For gestures and habit, there is a distinction between description and function which can be made where necessary is ambiguous cases. Thus, if people smile a little when someone dies, do a slow hand clap to express warm appreciations. Spit as a blessing, not to descend or shake their head to essence. Kiss their fingertips to greet or to praise. Give a thumbs up to signal okay, all of which occur in some cultures and not in others. Summarizing the translation of cultural words in institutional terms, I suggest that here, more than in any other translation problems, the most appropriate solutions depends not so much on the collections or the linguistic or situational context, though these have their place, as on readership, of whom the three types expert, educated, generalized, and uniformed will usually require the different translations, and on the setting I have attempted to indicate the alternatives below.